right, here we go again. NFL football is back. Week 1 of 2020 kicks off Thursday, and this obviously promises to be the weirdest season in NFL history with everything that is going on. But I think football will be all right here, because one thing you have to, listen, baseball, football, hockey, give them credit. They did what they could do to, try to get the seasons done, get their playoffs done, and have it look like real sports. But at the end of the day, something's off when you watch each of the sports. Baseball, the empty seats, or if they got the cardboard with the people on them, it's just not working. The NBA has actually done a good job with what their setup is. The problem is they're playing in a glorified high school gym. But everything else they've done is good. Hockey, I'll be honest, I haven't watched any hockey. I don't know who's in it, but I'm sure they're having the same issue. But I think football is going to get away with it for a couple of reasons. One, football's the one sport when you're watching the actual live action, you don't see the crowd. You see the crowd in baseball. You see the first couple of rows in basketball and hockey of fans, but football you don't see the fans during the actual action. So that is going to trick people into thinking that everything is normal. And also, listen, football's the most popular sport, and there's a ton of people still gambling on it in fantasy, and myself included. And the other thing is that football's schedule has not really been interrupted by what's going on. Baseball didn't get started till late July. NBA and NHL had stopped cold in March, and now they're finishing up. Now. It's Wednesday afternoon. There might be an NBA playoff game on. I don't know. But football, they didn't have the preseason games, but nobody cared about those anyway. But for the most part, they've kind of gotten away with not having their schedule interrupted. So everything's going to start on time. They're going to be playing in the stadiums. Everything's going to look like a regular NFL season. It's the right time of year. So I think football will be okay. And the other thing, listen, football, they're going to play the whole season. A lot of fantasy leagues are like, well, if they cancel the season before week 7, blah, 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 all these contingency plans. Listen, they're playing the whole season. They'll move the Super Bowl back to next June if they have to. But I don't even know that they're going to have that big of an issue getting the schedule done, even if you got a couple of COVID outbreaks here and there, because really the NFL's got to put on 20 weeks. They got to put on 20 episodes, if you will, 16 regular season games, and then 4 rounds of playoffs. It's not like baseball, NBA that play every day, and they play 80 games, 162 games. Football only has 20 games essentially, 20 weeks, 20 episodes, if you will. Within those weeks, obviously you have 16 games, but there's not a ton of games that need to be played in football versus the other sports. So football is gonna, I think, it's gonna be as normal as we remember normal to be at this point. And I don't know that they're gonna really have any scheduling issues, of course, unless there's another major outbreak or some other nonsense. But enough about that. We're all looking forward to it. So let's get it started, I guess. Kansas City is gonna defend their Super Bowl title Thursday night against Houston. Houston, we all know what they did in the playoffs last year. They were up 24-0 early, and then they were down by halftime. The Chiefs are the better team. Houston, they didn't want to pay DeAndre Hopkins. I don't understand that. They bring in David Johnson, who he might be done. Brandon Cooks is serviceable. They've got, and if Fuller stays healthy, maybe he, emerges as the number one. But, the bottom line is Kansas City's bringing back everybody. Houston's taking a little bit of a hit, even though Deshaun Watson is great. Again, home field's not going to really mean anything now in these games. So that's another factor to consider. But the Chiefs are the better team. The Chiefs will win. So let's go to Sunday afternoon. We've got, let's see, we got 9 games starting in the early window. Seattle is at Atlanta. Seattle, a strong NFC team, more of an offensive team, balanced than defense. Normally, they were known for being a defensive team, but now their strength is on the offensive side of the ball. Atlanta's got some weapons, but their running game is not great. Todd Gurley's, he's not Todd Gurley anymore. The defense is not good. Seattle is better. I'll take the Seahawks. Jets are at Buffalo. A lot of people in Buffalo are excited, and they should be. They get Diggs in the offseason. Josh Allen is going to take another step forward, and of course Tom Brady has gone out of the AFC East. So you would think Buffalo would be the favorite here to win the division. I'm not as convinced as some people are, but they're good enough to beat the Jets because the Jets really didn't. They brought in Brashad Perriman. He's hurt. They didn't really do a whole lot in the offseason, and then they weren't that good to begin with. So I take Buffalo to win that one. Chicago is at Detroit. The Bears might be really bad this year. Not a lot of confidence in your QB situation. They're going to start Trubisky. Nick Foles is going to be in there at some point. But the running game's already banged up. Allen Robinson's okay, but he's not a really top tier wide receiver one. Even though people still draft him in the 3rd and 4th round, which I don't understand. The Bears defense isn't good as it was. Detroit got off to a good start last year. They put up points, and then Stafford got hurt, and then the season derailed after that. But Stafford is back. They've got some weapons on offense. Patricia is a good enough coach where he'll get the defense in line for this one. Not that there's a lot to defend in Chicago, and I'll take Detroit. Green Bay's at Minnesota. Aaron Rodgers is still there in Green Bay. They're bringing back the same crew that got to the NFC title game. The Vikings. Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, 1st-round draft pick to go with Thielen. They're going to be a good offensive team. This could be a nice shootout game, a nice fantasy game for all you degenerates out there, myself included. But I still think Green Bay is a better team here, and you don't like. Listen, I don't care what side of the aisle you fall, but Kirk Cousins saying he doesn't care if he drops dead of COVID. That's not the kind of karma you want your quarterback taking into the season. I know he walked it back and clarified it, blah blah blah, but stupid things like that. You're just setting yourself up for something disastrous. But I think Green Bay's a better team anyway. I'll take Green Bay over Minnesota. Miami is at New England. The post Tom Brady era begins. Cam Newton. Hey, listen, if Cam stays healthy, New England's going to be competitive, and that's why I'm not jumping on Buffalo just yet. Because again, New England's still got a good defense. They don't have a lot of great offensive weapons. But they didn't with Brady really, other than Edelman. And listen, Newton is still a serviceable quarterback, and Newton, of course, has that scrambling ability, which Brady did not have. But again, how healthy is Cam Newton going to be? If Cam Newton stays healthy, New England could very easily win the AFC East again. Sorry, Bills fans, but they'll beat Miami, even though Miami always gives New England trouble. Miami knocked them off last year, kick them out of the bye week. Miami's got a couple of young players you're excited about. I like Preston Williams a lot, especially in fantasy, especially where you're going to be able to draft him. I'd rather hold off, skip past Devontae Parker, whatever round he's going in, and get Preston Williams, mid to late. I think he's going to be the real deal. But I'll take New England to win this game, and they're still in it as long as Cam stays healthy. Philadelphia Football Club at the Washington football team. And the Redskins are a mess. I'm sorry, the Washington football team is a mess. Both from a personnel standpoint and what's going on in the front office. I mean, they just. And listen, I like the Ron Rivera hire. I think he's a good coach, but he's not working with a lot here, both on the field and in the front, in the front office. Philly is still banged up at receiver. Their number one draft pick, Jalen Reagor, is probably not playing in this game, but he'll be a beast when he comes back. But they got enough on the running game. They have Zach Ertz. Wentz is decent. Peterson's a good coach. Washington is a mess. And listen, everybody should be starting Philly's defense this week. So I'll take Philly. The Las Vegas Raiders are at the Carolina Panthers. Raiders got a couple of themselves a couple of good receivers, Ruggs and Bryan Edwards. You've got Josh Jacobs. Carr is, I thought Carr was going to be better than he has been. Back in 2016 he lit it up when he had Cooper and Crabtree, and he's kind of regressed since then. But he's still serviceable. He's still dangerous, especially if these young receivers can click. Carolina, again, outside of McCaffrey just being a incredibly valuable fantasy asset, there's really not a lot going on in Carolina. They got a new coach. They got Teddy Bridgewater to come in. Bridgewater's not bad. He'll be serviceable. But I'm gonna take the Raiders to win this game. I think the Raiders just got more offensive firepower. Carolina, outside of McCaffrey, DJ Moore's good. They got a couple other okay receivers, but the defense is not great. And again, outside of Christian McCaffrey being a fantasy stud, there's not a whole lot to really like about Carolina. So I'll take the Las Vegas Raiders. Indianapolis is at Jacksonville. The Jaguars, they're probably going to be the worst team in the AFC. They cleaned house. They let go of Fournette, which is fine. He was causing them headaches. That was a win-win for both sides there. But the Jaguars just aren't a good team. People are a little too excited about DJ Chark from fantasy, but the guy's going to have Gardner Minshew and possibly Jake Luton thrown to him. So I don't know that I want to spend a fourth or fifth round pick on Chark or wherever he's going. I'm just avoiding him. But the running back situation, so many people. So many people want to grab Chris Thompson, like that was the answer. And first of all, Chris Thompson's a third down back. He had one good year. He's had multiple serious injuries. And he's not going to be Jacksonville's just not going to be a team that's going to be able to run the ball. Can Thompson get garbage PPR points? Possibly, but I just, again, Jacksonville's running. Just stay away from it. Why bother? Listen, you pick somebody up in the last 3 rounds, fine, but people going up to somebody took Chris Thompson in, I don't know, the 8th round or some. Want to draft some in. So Chris Thompson, I was like, what are we doing? The Colts, I'm not crazy about Phillip Rivers this year. I think him and Roethlisberger, are at the end. Roethlisberger more than Rivers, but Rivers is, listen, he's got some weapons here, but he had weapons with the Chargers last year, and then, they didn't do a whole lot. Listen, the Colts will win this game, but I'm not terribly excited for what they're going to be able to do on offense, even though I got Phillip Rivers, because I think he's near the end. But listen, the Colts will compete this year, so they're in a. They got Houston and Tennessee in the division, but Houston took a step back, so who knows? But they'll win again. And then Cleveland's at Baltimore. The Ravens, again, we all know what they got cooking. The Browns, they've got guys on paper that look good, and then I don't know what happened to them last year. The wheels fell off quick, and then Mayfield needs to have a bounce back year. Mayfield's not even getting drafted in a lot of drafts, and I'm in a couple of 2 QB leagues, and Mayfield is either being left or going real late. So he's a guy you could take a late flyer on, but they've got weapons on offense. So and that, I think the Austin Hooper signing is going to be helpful because Hooper's a good tight end. But that's also going to open it up obviously for the guys here. I mean, Baltimore's going to win this game, but we could have a shootout here. Cleveland could put up some points if they need to. All right, we got a couple of late Sunday afternoon games. You got the Chargers, the LA Chargers at Cincinnati. Here teams that got skill guys at running back and wide receiver, but now you got some question mark at quarterback. I mean, again, Tyrod Taylor, and then at some point Justin Herbert. Burrow will have growing pains, but I'm a little more confident in Burrow and what the Bengals guys can do. But again, these are two teams that are not. I mean, they're not going to be competitive from a championship standpoint. And it'll be interesting to see how their fantasy guys go. I've avoided Keenan Allen and AJ Green and Boyd in my drafts this year because you're just not sure what kind of quarterback play you're going to get. Eckler and Mixon is solid because not only are they 3-down backs, but they're also good pass catching guys too. So they're going to get touches. They're going to get work. So those are the highlights for these teams. I'll take the Bengals to win this game. I think Burrow, could, have an impact more so right off the bat. Obviously, Herbert's not going to be in there yet, but I mean, Tyrod Taylor's not going to last. So I'll take the Bengals in this one. Then you get Tampa Bay at New Orleans. The souped-up Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're going for it, Tampa. But listen, at the end of the day, it's all going to come down to Brady. Does Brady still have it? And again, you don't want to question it, but there's reason to throw it out there. I mean, a big part of how Tampa Bay's season is going to go is going to be relying on a 43-year-old quarterback. Now again, it's Tom Brady, and he's got a ton of weapons, but we've seen Brady struggle, in the last couple of years in New England with down the field throws and again, he didn't have a downfield kind of guy necessarily. It was a lot of stuff to Edelman, but Tampa Bay has more firepower. So if Brady still got something in the tank, he should be able to utilize it here. The Saints are the Saints. They're going to be at the top again. Going for championship. Maybe this is Breeze's last real good year to be super productive. Kamara is still there. Michael Thomas is the best receiver. Their New Orleans defense is good. I'm gonna take the Saints to win this game just because there's still a lot of moving parts in Tampa. As loaded as they are, they got to put it together on the field, and let's see them do it. This is a tough assignment week 1, and let's see what Brady looks like. If Brady's flinging it around and he's looking like '07 Brady, and just bombs away to Evans and Godwin and Fournette's running the ball. I mean, listen, Tampa Bay's gonna be tough to beat, but I think New Orleans will get them this week, and we'll see what happens. Arizona's at San Francisco. San Francisco was 10 minutes away from winning the Super Bowl, and then they just let Pat Mahomes be Pat Mahomes, and now they're the defending NFC champions. A good game here. Should be high scoring. Arizona's got a lot of weapons, and then especially with DeAndre Hopkins. Kyler Murray's going to take a leap this year. Kenyon Drake. I don't think Kenyon Drake's a first-round fantasy back. But he's definitely going to be, a good back to have. But he's just a guy when I don't want to take him up there. Because they got Chase Edmonds, they drafted that Benjamin guy, and there's just a lot of there's just a lot of talent in Arizona for Drake to just really be, that kind of workhorse first round running back. I mean, I know running backs are scarce, but and by the way, just to backtrack here for a second, why are guys like Jonathan Taylor and DeAndre Swift getting drafted in the fourth round? I mean, I know that. I know running backs are scarce. And you got to get guys early, but the Lions have Kerryon Johnson. The Colts have Marlon Mack. I mean, there's nothing wrong with those guys. Or do you think those guys are not going to play? I mean, listen, Dynasty, you pick those guys up, but I don't know why Jonathan Taylor. I love watching Jonathan Taylor and DeAndre Swift get drafted in the fourth round. Thank you. Because, listen, those guys are going to be timeshares. Maybe, to the end of the season, but there's no, they're rookies, you know what I'm saying? And again, there's nothing wrong with Mack and Kerryon. Those guys are serviceable. They're not going to be completely pushed out of the way, I don't think. But, listen, but to be taking them in the fourth round is crazy. That's what I'm saying. But that's how you get that. I'll take the 49ers to win this game. But I like what Arizona's going to do here, and I think. And listen, Arizona, if Kyler Murray, puts it together this year, Arizona's going to compete for that division. Because this is a good team over there, a lot of offensive weapons, defense is all right. Let's see, and then we get Sunday night, the Dallas Cowboys at the LA Rams at the Rams' new empty stadium. Listen, there's nothing new to say about the Cowboys. We're loaded on offense. Defense is suspect. We're going to put up a lot of points. Is it going to be enough to be competitive and get to the Super Bowl? Of course, I think it is, but we it's the same story with this team every year. And last year was one of the weirdest years ever because they 8 games they put up 35, 40 points, and then the other 8 games they did nothing and lost by 1 possession. It was just, I'm tired of hearing Dallas had the number 1 offense. And no, they didn't because they went 8-8. You don't have the number 1 offense at 8-8. So, here we go again. But listen, CeeDee Lamb, a fantastic fall to us in the draft. From a statistical standpoint, I don't know if he's going to blow it up right away, but he's going to be a guy on the field that's going to take attention away from Cooper and Michael Gallup, and of course Zeke. Listen, Dak's one of the top 5 quarterbacks right now, at least from fantasy perspective. So, Cowboys are going to put up points. Can the defense hold the team? Now the Rams, Rams are a similar kind of team. They got studs on offense. Defense is Rams defense is probably a little bit better than the Cowboys, but I'm going to take the Cowboys to win, but enough's enough already. And of course, this will be the year Cowboys finally get to the Super Bowl when we have a Super Bowl with no fans. Then that'll be the Super Bowl Cowboys are back. But I'll take them to beat the Rams this week. We'll go from there. Then you get your Monday night doubleheader. You get Pittsburgh, you get the Giants. Roethlisberger is back, who was hurt last year, but I gotta say, I don't know that Roethlisberger. I think this is Roethlisberger's last year. I don't know that he wanted to come back necessarily. He's been flirting with kind of retiring already, and then he was out last year, and I just think Roethlisberger wants out. And I don't know what that's going to mean on the field for the Steelers. I mean, they got Connor, they got a couple of good running backs. I don't know about Juju as a one receiver. They drafted a couple of young guys, and I don't. Are they going to put it all together this year? I don't know. I don't like Pittsburgh this year for some reason. I know Pittsburgh is traditionally one of the one of those solid teams that's always in contention, but I just don't like. I just don't like it this year, and I could be 100% wrong. But again, Roethlisberger, if he comes back and he's his old self, then it's a different story. But I just think that I think last year would have been his last year if he didn't get hurt. And he's like, you know what, I got to do one more year. And again, I don't have any insight. I'm just going on instinct here, and I'm probably about 50-50 on that. But the Giants, getting the Giants, I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants upset the team here. Here's the thing. I mean, Barkley and McCaffrey are the two best running backs in football. And neither one of those teams is coming in with close to playoffs. So I don't know what that tells you about having guys like this on your team. But, Daniel Jones is better. Actually drafted Daniel Jones in one of my... This is the first year I ever drafted Giants. Because I'm just, it's all about the money now. I can't, worry about having a root for Giants here and there.